Uh,
Hello and welcome along to the English Premier League weekly preview show. It's the last one, lads. We made it to the end of the season. They said it couldn't be done and we proved them wrong, like that one season wonder, Harry Kane. It is the day of the Monaco Grand Prix, but the only race we're interested in is the race for Europe. On this special end of season show, we'll review some of our predictions from last week and we'll take a look at all of today's fixtures in the Premier League and look at all the permutations for European qualification and the Golden Boot candidates. As always, we want to know what you think, so get involved and throw your comments into the ring for us to discuss. Follow us on Twitter at EPLWpod, and you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Joe Carter EPLW. Alongside me today, as always, Roz and Mus. How are we doing, guys? Tell me one thing that you're looking forward to talking about on today's episode, Roz.
it's got to be the European race, hasn't it? There are a few games like Everton City. Everton are sort of playing for that Europa League place. Arsenal are playing for that European Conference League. All those ones. It's all about the Champions League, isn't it? And it'll have such a huge say on the transfer window that's coming up, and which players move to which clubs. So it'll be interesting.
Yes, indeed. And Mus.
Yeah, afternoon, chaps.
Afternoon.
I'm firstly looking forward to asking Joe why he's wearing a Tottenham shirt, or what looks like a Tottenham shirt.
Steady on, mate. This is Philadelphia Union, mate. The Union MLS Supporters Shield winners 2020.
Fair enough, Philadelphia. That's a good spread.
Yeah.
Looks good on you.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, no, likewise.
Bit cheesy.
That's my specialty. Looking forward to the European race and hopefully looking forward to Salah earning his third Golden Boot.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Should we have a look at our predictions from last week first?
Let's do that.
Let's do it. Okay. So, I'm just going to rattle through our predictions. So, where should we start? Burnley Leeds. So, Burnley Leeds finished 4-0 to Leeds United. Roz said 8-0 to Burnley. Mus said 1-0. I said 2-1. And do you know what, actually, lads? I'm just going to run through the results. I'm not going to do the points because we've got a lot to get through. And Roz has won it anyway. It's boring. Southampton, Fulham. Roz said it'd be 2-1 to Fulham. Mus said 2-0 to Southampton. And I said 2-0 to Southampton as well. And it finished 3-1 to Southampton. And next up, Brighton, West Ham. Roz said 2-2. Mus said 2-1 to West Ham, and I said 1-1. And it, of course, finished. How did that finish? 1-1. So, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa. Roz said 2-1 to Villa. Mus said 2-1 to Villa. I said 2-0 to Villa, and that one finished up 3-2 to Palace. Sorry, I'm doing this in a very different way to what I'm used to. Spurs, Wolves. Roz said 4-0 to Spurs. Mus said 2-2. I said 3-2 to Spurs. It finished 2-0 to Spurs, that one. West Brom, Liverpool. Roz said 5-1 to Liverpool. Mus said 3-0. And I said 5-0. It, of course, finished 2-1 to Liverpool. A lot closer than we had all predicted. And Everton, Sheffield United. Roz said 1-0. Mus said 2-0 to Everton. And I said 2-1 to Everton. Obviously, it finished 1-0 to Sheffield United. Big upset there for us boys. Roz, I'm just going to come out and say it. Congratulations.
I don't know how. There's not really a way of doing like a victory parade, or a guard of honor or stuff like that. You can't really do that over Zoom, can you? But I'll take your congratulations. That means a lot. Thanks,
Mus, is there anything you wanted to add to the congratulatory statement?
I'm really looking forward to next season and seeing who finishes in second place between you and Mus.
Very good. Mus, did you want to add anything?
Well, no, I mean, congratulations, Roz. As Joe said in earlier episodes, your attitude to victory says a lot about how often you're used to winning things. But no, it will only drive us on to try and knock you off your perch next season.
Brilliant. Okay, so should we take a look at the fixtures coming up today then? Here we go. We have got a bumper fixture list, all 10 fixtures kicking off at 4 o'clock because it is the final day of the 2021 Premier League season. Arsenal, Brighton, Aston Villa versus Chelsea, Fulham, Newcastle, Leeds, West Brom, Leicester, Spurs, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Man City, Everton, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham, Southampton, and Wolves against Man United. What's standing out to you there, Ros?
Leicester, Tottenham should be a really interesting one. Tottenham playing for Europa League place. Leicester playing to not bottle it as they have done many a time now under Brendan Rodgers. So it's also potentially Harry Kane's last game in a Spurs shirt. So lots in that game to kind of keep an eye on, but that'll be a bit tasty.
Yeah, not the only departure as well, potentially. You know, obviously Aguero might be playing his last game for City, by all accounts. And also there's a few managerial goodbyes as well, isn't there, Mus?
Yeah, that's right. So Nuno Espirito Santo, of course, will be having his last game with the Wolves, as well as Ryan Mason, obviously. Presumably he won't still be interim or permanent for the start of next season. Anyone else that I've forgotten? Any other managerial departures?
Roy Nuno, yeah.
Roy Hodgson, yeah.
Yeah, back at his former club. Which may give him added incentive to try and poop Liverpool's party. He didn't have the best time at Liverpool, but Roy is a bit of a legend, particularly in Scandinavia. I think often underappreciated how highly regarded he is overseas. Doesn't often get the credit he deserves, but essentially had like a Leicester winning the Premier League type story with like some Swedish minnows, and then got a big move to Malmo, won the league 5 times in a row. Apparently the Swedish national team still play the Roy Hodgson way. Speaks 5 languages, moved to Italy, you know, great guy. So he'll be missed, I imagine.
Highly regarded at Inter in Italy as well. A sort of bad time for the club there, and by all accounts there, he was the guy that kind of steadied the ship, got them from a club that was sort of falling fast, just nice and stable, and sort of laid the framework for other managers to come in later and get success there. But yeah, really well thought of.
It's kind of what he's done at Palace, isn't it? He's sort of stabilised them, and now he's given them a platform to build on, Mus.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it doesn't transpire that way, but it might be one of those situations where only after he's gone do people realise how good a job he was doing at plastering over the cracks and punching above his weight at a team whose budget, is probably towards the lower end of the league and maybe higher end of the Championship, actually. And so, if there's any departures on the playing side, Wilfried Zaha being the big one, but also there's at least a dozen players who are out of contract at Crystal Palace this summer. Gary Cahill, Patrick Van Aanholt. And so it's a really big rebuild job as well.
Yeah. We've had a question in the comments, lads, from Dave. Dave says, who would want the Palace job? So many out of contract in an ageing squad. Whoever takes the job has a huge building job to do, kind of like you're saying, Mus. He's suggesting Frank de Boer part 2. Is it going to be another case of, are we going to see that kind of appointment again? Could it go wrong? Who do you think should be Palace manager next season and why?
I mean, I recently heard Chris Wilder being linked to the job. I've also heard Sean Dyche, although I'm not sure it wouldn't necessarily be a step up for Sean Dyche, but someone like Chris Wilder used to operate on a shoestring budget with a club, of comparable size, not to be too disrespectful to Sheffield United, but that strikes me as a good shout. I recently heard the Jose Mourinho quote about Frank de Boer when he criticised Mourinho's management of Rashford. And Mourinho said, I heard the Premier League's worst ever manager was criticising me the other day. 7 games played, 7 defeats, 0 goals scored. Hopefully Crystal Palace don't end up with another De Boer situation. Yeah,
well, the odds are Frank Lampard's favourite, Steve Cooper of Swansea next in line, Eddie Howe, Sean Dyche, Chris Wilder, also Nuno Espirito Santo's in there as well, Scott Parker, Sam Allardyce in the frame as well, and even your outsiders, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, and John Terry.
I think a lot of those are just because they played for London clubs, surely. Lampard being favourite's a bit of a strange one. I think lots of those managers are too good for Palace, really.
Is Lampard a strange one? Because, Lampard's a specialist in working with youngsters, working with English players. There's a few youth players in there. He could rejuvenate that squad and bring through some new generation, alongside the likes of Eze and Tyreek Mitchell.
Yeah, he sort of did it at Derby. If I were him, I would go back to Derby. Personally, Bayern Munich was absolutely shocking. I think that's Lampard's level, really. I don't know what he's done to prove that he can do it in the Premier League. Steve Cooper from Swansea, they've of course just got to the playoff final. So if they lose that to Brentford, then that might be more incentive for him to leave. But if they win it, then why would you go to Palace, having just taken Swansea up?
Yeah, so
he's
who
would you... the weirdest looking guy. If anyone wants to look up Cooper from Swansea, he is, not to be like overly critical about appearances, I think he's the ugliest manager I've ever seen.
Outrageous. That's the views of Roz and not the podcast as a whole. That's fine. So go and look him up if you like. Roz, who's going to be the manager there next season though? Stick your neck out. Come on.
Palace, I agree with Mus. I think Wilder would be a good shout. Also, what Dave said about the ageing squad, you could say the same thing about Sheffield United. A lot of those players in their kind of early 30s and got the best out of them. But I'm all prepped for the Crystal Palace relegation party next season, to be honest. Mus was saying, I really hope it doesn't transpire this way, that they see how good Roy was. I can't wait. They should have stuck with him. It's great.
Okay, well, guys, let's take a look at some of the permutations for qualification and the Golden Boot. I've put together a lovely little graphic on the screen here. So we've got the race for the Champions League. Chelsea 3rd, Liverpool 4th, Leicester 5th as it stands. All played 37, obviously. Chelsea, 23 goal difference. Liverpool, 24 goal difference. Leicester, 20 goal difference. Chelsea on 67 points. Liverpool, 66. Leicester City, 66. And that couldn't really be much tighter, could it? Who do you see taking those 2 Champions League spots, Mus?
Well, so it obviously goes without saying that Chelsea and Liverpool are in the driving seat. But I do think Chelsea have a tough game at Villa this afternoon. We had a really good game against Spurs in the week. So I'm going to stick my neck out and say there's going to be an upset. I'm going to say Villa are going to do Leicester a favour. And by the end of the day, it will be Leicester and Liverpool going to the Champions League.
Interesting. Wouldn't it be lovely to see Leicester in the Champions League again? I really, really enjoyed watching them when they qualified from winning the Prem a few years ago, Roz.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought of another player that's leaving at Wes Morgan, who, of course, captained them in that Champions League campaign when they lost in it. I'm kind of inclined to agree. The other thing is it's the first game that Villa have with fans back in a year or something. I don't know if anyone watched any of the Championship, or actually just any of the EFL playoff semi-finals, but the difference fans make in the stadium, just goals, defensive errors, penalties given when they might not have been. Fans really do make such a difference, and it'll be really interesting to see how cool Thomas Tuchel's been, controlled, very calm, possession-based football with Chelsea. It's easy to forget that he's done that without fans and how much of a difference that will make.
Yeah, and it kind of plays into the hands of Leicester and Liverpool being at home, doesn't it, as well? So, yeah, exciting there. And let's take a quick look at the race for the Europa League then. So it's kind of between 5 clubs, well, for the Europa League and for the Europa Conference League, which, frankly, a lot of these clubs won't want to be in. Maybe Leeds would like to be in that, but I can't see fans of Arsenal, Tottenham, Everton and West Ham seeing that as a good result at the end of their season. West Ham in 6th at the moment on 62. Spurs and Everton both on 59 in 7th and 8th. Spurs have a much superior goal difference though. Arsenal on 58 points in 9th and 10th. Leeds United 56 points. Leeds United with the highest points tally for a promoted side ever in the Premier League. And I know what you're going to say, Roz, but Mus, they've been fantastic, haven't they, Leeds? They've been fantastic.
Yeah, before Roz gets his chance to comment on Leeds, I'll say they have had a fantastic season, and this is, of course, the first time in over a decade that their fans are going to be seeing them playing at home in the Premier League. So that'll be a great moment for them, and I'm sure they're going to put on a show this afternoon, which I think will make things interesting, because I'm not expecting Spurs to win. But I also, whoever named the Conference League, the European Conference League, clearly hasn't done any market research in the UK, because a surefire way to put fans off anything is to to label it Conference League. It doesn't have the best connotations here. So I don't think Spurs fans would particularly mind missing out on that. I think a season out of Europe will probably be good for them. I selfishly want that for Arsenal, so I also don't want Arsenal pipping Spurs and qualifying for Thursday night football, but with less glamour, earlier kickoffs, and none of the rewards.
Yeah, so just to clarify, 5th and 6th will qualify for the Europa League. 7th is for the Conference League. Roz, who do you see qualifying for those competitions as it stands?
I agree that if I was Spurs or Arsenal, I really wouldn't want to be in those competitions. I wouldn't even really want to be in the Europa League, to be honest. I know Man United are now in the final, and if they weren't so well placed in the table, it would be a really good way to get Champions League football. But it's still a gamble, and how much does it actually take out of your league campaign doing that midweek? We saw with Leicester them winning the title when they didn't have anything like that to kind of worry about. If you're Arsenal or you're a Spurs player, it's just a distraction for me. However, I can see Spurs beating Leicester. To be honest, I reckon Spurs will get it. Brighton always a tricky game for Arsenal, so that'll be interesting there. But I can't see Arsenal getting it.
Roz, you were saying Liverpool and Leicester will qualify for the Champions League, but you can see Spurs.
Yeah, I'm changing my mind. I don't. No, you know what? I reckon they will, because I reckon Chelsea will win the Champions League final.
Okay, so you think Liverpool, Leicester get 3rd and 4th, Chelsea win Champions League final? That's a big shout. Chelsea to win the Champions League final. Okay, look, let's get on to previewing these fixtures then. Kickoff is under 40 minutes away to the final day of the English Premier League. Let's go. Let's do some previewing, shall we? So first up, we'll look at...
If we do that, David's in the comments calling you out on your reasons for wanting Leicester to make it into the Champions League.
Oh, yeah? What's he saying?
So he's saying, Joe, you're only saying Leicester for Premier League as they could mean Arsenal finish above Spurs, as Spurs would lose to Leicester.
As much as I would enjoy a St. Totteringham's Day for the first time in a while, I honestly, personally, I'm not that keen on Arsenal playing in Europe next season. I think for the good of the club, we'd be better off not having Thursday night football, and that's my honest opinion. But yeah, thanks, Dave. Anyway, let's get on then to these previews. Arsenal, Brighton from the Emirates. Arteta in front of the fans for the first time. Did he play in front of? Did he manage in front of the fans? He did, didn't he? Just before COVID. Hector Bellerin will miss this game because of bruising a bone in his lower leg. Reserve goalkeeper Matt Ryan ineligible to face his parent club. Neil Maupay is still suspended, but Lewis Dunk returns after serving a 2-match ban. Danny Welbeck, Joel Veltman and Davy Propper will all miss out due to hamstring, calf and ankle injuries, respectively. Arsenal been going well, haven't they? Won the last 4 Premier League games. A bit late, but it is actually the best form under Arteta.
Yeah, I think in the form table, Arsenal are second. It seems a bit counterintuitive just because the narrative around the club has been hugely negative. And I mean, the starting lineups have been named, and Pepe, the form players in there, Aubameyang starting, etc. And Welbeck's missed out, but Dunk's back in for Brighton. It should be an entertaining game. I'm expecting Arsenal to win with the fans back in the stadium. I think the pressure's on. Apparently, Josh Kroenke will be in the stadium as well.
Lovely.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. I mean, it's often said of West Ham fans, but I think the same applies for Arsenal fans, that their presence in the stadium is sometimes detrimental to the players, just because there's a lot of negativity around.
Yeah.
But this might take the opportunity to protest, which may or may not impact the players. But I'm still expecting an Arsenal victory.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to run through the lineups quickly, Ros. Then I want your prediction. So Arsenal line up in a 4-2-3-1. Bernd Leno, Callum Chambers, Rob Holding, Gabriel, Kieran Tierney, Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka, Pepe, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and up front Aubameyang captains the side. Brighton in a 4-4-1-1. Sanchez in goal. Burn, Dunk, White, Webster across the back. Moda, Bissouma, gross misconduct, and Johan Baksh across the middle. Alexis McAllister just behind Leandro Trossard. Ros, prediction?
I reckon Brighton will win this. It's not the most inspiring Arsenal lineup, is it? Partey and Xhaka both had really uninspiring seasons for me. Kieran Tierney's a big game for you guys. Nice back from injury. But I just always think of that. Was it last season? The end of last season, the Guendouzi Mope incident. Brighton are the kind of team that will really get onto the nails of a team like Arsenal. I just think that looking at that midfield, you've got Bissouma against the likes of Partey and Xhaka, and I really fancy Brighton in this one. I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton with Big Dan Burn.
Nice. I'm not going to write these predictions down today because we're not going to be doing another preview show, so we won't be coming back to doing that.
I'd have already won, so really.
Wow, there it is again, the disgusting mentality of the lesser spotted winner. Mus.
Can I just say, Graham Potter has had a heavy week of trolling, right? So there was that altercation with Guardiola after the game. So Potter arguing with the bald guy, J.K. Rowling wants her copyright back. But apparently he apologised, said, he over-celebrated the first goal. But I've just spotted, within the Brighton lineup, I think probably a classic Potter troll, little inside joke. They call the Emirates Lingard's dance floor. Every time he scores there, he does a little dance.
Yeah.
And he started with Moda on the right wing. So it's literally Moda on the dance floor.
Hey!
Brilliant. So are you tipping Moda to score a winning goal for Brighton then today?
He'll score their consolation goal. I'm going for an Arsenal 2-1 victory. And then the ultimate victory is kind of signing off the Bissouma deal straight after the game. First transfer of the season done. Announce it.
Okay, right. I'm going to bring you the lineups for Aston Villa, Chelsea. Villa line up in a 4-2-3-1. Martinez, Konsa, Hauser, Mings, Target. McGinn, Nakamba, Traore, Grealish, El Ghazi behind Ollie Watkins. Chelsea in a 3-4-3. Edouard Mendy in goal. Rudiger, Silva, James. Chilwell, Jorginho, Kovacic as Piliqueta. And then Mount and Pulisic behind Timo Werner. Quick prediction on this one, lads?
I'm going for Villa in this one. I think it will be a 2-1 Villa win. And I think... it's probably both teams' strongest lineup, besides, obviously, Matty Cash in that really good Villa defence this season. Jack Grealish being back. Chelsea having one eye on that Champions League final next week. 2-1 Villa for me. Yeah,
Villa, they're kind of on the beach. They can't go up or down from 11th position today. But, as you say, that big game for Chelsea next week. One eye on the Champions League final. Mus, how do you see it going?
So I do quite like the narrative of John Terry preventing Chelsea from qualifying for the Champions League. So I think I'm going to go for a 3-1 Aston Villa victory. I think it'll be a tight game and Villa will hit them late with the third goal on the counter-attack. Chelsea don't have Kante, and I think that really impacts their
Different
fluidity,
team without
and
him.
ability to kind of like control the game. And Ollie Watkins, I think, is the second highest English goal scorer after Kane in the goal scoring charts. He's overtaken DCL. I think he'll go on a score sheet today and secure his place in the England squad.
Interesting. Okay. So next up, Fulham, Newcastle. Fulham playing a 3-4-3. Rodak in goal. Tete, Adebayo, Tim Ream across the back. Bobby Decordova-Reid, Zambo and Gisa, Josh Onoma and Joe Bryan across the middle. Carvalho and Lookman behind Cavallero. Newcastle lining up in a 5-3-2. Dubravka in goal. Richie Dummett, Fernandez, Kraft, Murphy across the back. Willock, who's been fantastic for them. Shelvey and Longstaff in the middle. And Almiron and Saint Maximin up top. Yet again, how do we see this one going, Roz?
It's a shame, missed it. It's the one that everyone had their eye on, hoping that Newcastle wouldn't put a run together and Fulham would. And this game, it would be kind of straight up shootout to stay in the Prem. Not worked out that way at all. Willock has been sensational. But has he scored like 5 games in a row?
I think he's scored six in a row now. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I fancy Newcastle all the way, and I fancy Joe Willock all the way. I reckon it's going to be a comprehensive Newcastle win this one.
Yeah, Newcastle could. I mean, it would take quite a swing of stuff to happen, but they could finish as high as 12th, Mus, at the end of play today. How ridiculous is that, considering the season they've had?
Yeah, talk about plastering over the cracks. I mean, that would really kind of go some way to masking all the problems they've had this season. Been hugely inconsistent. We're lucky to get Saint Maximin and Wilson back when they did. And of course, Willock on loan as well, who's probably actually had a more sustained second half of the season than, say, Jesse Lingard, for example, who's really tailed off. But I see Fulham have replaced their goalkeeper. Of course, in the last game, Cavani got a lob on Areola, which, you know, would have been a really explicit headline. I'm glad no one went for that. But yeah, they've gone for Rodak Black in goal. But like Ross, I'm going to go with the Newcastle victory, like Ross said, 2-0.
Key man Willock for you as well?
I'm going to say Saint Maximin. He was a joy to behold, and he's often the player with the pass before the assist, if not the actual goal involvement himself.
Interesting.
I'm going to go with
that gets you points in German fantasy football.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Gets you points.
Yeah. Okay. Leeds, West Brom. Leeds lining up in a 3-3-3-1. Bielsa's favoured formation. Casilla in goal. Eiling, Cooper and Berardi across the back. Dallas Phillips, Alioski in the middle. Rafinha, Hernandez and Harrison behind Rodrigo. West Brom in a 5-4-1, excuse me. Johnston in goal. Townsend, O'Shea, Bartley, Ajayi, Furlong. Across the middle, it's Maitland-Niles, OK Yukuslu, Conor Gallagher and Matt Phillips. And up front, Callum Robinson. Roz, what's your prediction for this one?
It's nice to see that Leeds keeping it classy this week. They've gone for the racist in goal as opposed to the 12-year-old. So, yeah, good to see that they're sticking by their man there as he keeps doing. But I can see, yeah, it'll be Leeds, won't it? West Brom, nothing to play for. Big Sam keeping his record of never actually taking a team down. He's still signed. So his record's still intact there. But, yeah, it'll be a Leeds win. Sadly, it just goes to show if you spend 100 million,
here we go.
Table. So just stop all that. The highest points tally of any team that's ever got promoted. Yeah, right.
It's an achievement. It's still an achievement. I mean, you can't deny that as an achievement.
I mean, you know, they were calling that championship playoff. The championship trophy, winning the second division. Apparently, that quantifies Bielsa as like FIFA's coach of the year. So obviously, like you got different goalposts when it comes to Leeds, haven't you? In terms of how high the achievement is.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave that one there because we've got a few more games to get through. Mus, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I think this will be a Leeds victory. I'm going to say 3-0. They've been pretty free scoring of late with a really tight defensive performance of late. So. Yeah, I think Leeds will win this comfortably in front of their fans. I think that'll be extra motivation for them. West Brom. I mean, someone needs to serve Big Sam with a massive fish to accompany that big chip on his shoulder. It's just been that interview after the last game where he was kind of like trying to gaslight the media into thinking that I'm leaving because you call me a short-term manager. Now I've been typecast as a short-term manager, so you've made me into a short-term manager. It sounds a lot like an abusive boyfriend breaking up with a girlfriend, trying to make it seem like it's her fault.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then he had a go at Antonio, of course, for quite accurately describing some tactics that he.
He was like, "Oh, it was wrong what you said. It was disgusting. It was disgusting what you said." I was like, what? Unreal.
Okay, Liverpool hosting Crystal Palace then. Pretty big game here. They line up in a 4-3-3. Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Phillips, Williams and Robertson across the back. Thiago, Fabinho, Wijnaldum in the middle. And up front, it's SFM, Salah, Firmino and Mane. Palace lining up in a 4-3-3. Gaeta in goal. Mitchell, Cahill, Tompkins, Ward across the back. Riedveld, McCarthy and Kiyate in the middle. And up front for them, it's ZAT, Zaha, Ayew and Townsend. That well-known trio. What's your prediction, Mus, for this game? I know you'll be keenly watching Mo Salah in this one.
Absolutely. I'm going to go 4-1 for Liverpool. I think it'll be nervy at the start, but once they get the early goal, it should be pretty comfortable. And hopefully Salah can outscore Harry Kane to win the Golden Boot outright.
Yeah, it's always a hard one when it's like a manager's last game. Again, you've got the fans back at Anfield, which will be a big thing there. But yeah, I can't see anything other than a comprehensive Liverpool win, personally.
I mean, Crystal Palace, obviously, they're missing Eze, which is a big blow for them. And they also don't have Benteke in the squad, I assume, injured. He would have been, going back to his old stomping ground of a point to prove, but they don't even have that. So, yeah.
Eze out for 6 months. Gutting.
Yeah, that is gutting for Palace.
But, yeah, I mean, they always used to be a bit of a bogey side for them, didn't they? Palace. Famously, was it a 3-3, 4-3? I say famously, I can't even remember. It was when Liverpool were chasing the title, and it's one. No slip-ups.
Yeah.
But, yeah, yeah, it'll be a 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 9-1, something like
that. Just before we look at the Leicester-Tottenham lineups, I just want to have a quick look at the race for the Golden Boot, because we've obviously talked about Salah. We're going to go on to talk about Harry Kane and Spurs. They are the two kind of front runners, if you like, unless something miraculous happens. 22 goals apiece. Harry Kane's on 14 assists as well. He could finish today as the Premier League top goal scorer and assist leader. 22 would be quite a low tally, wouldn't it? Or 23 would be quite a low tally, Roz.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, the way that football's kind of changed, really. The top goal scorers don't tend to be out-and-out strikers, apart from Harry Kane and Sergio Aguero. It's always the wingers that are kind of cutting inside, strikers becoming more and more that kind of Bobby role of dropping back for Liverpool.
Yeah.
It does seem low, doesn't it? I can see both players scoring today. The fact that Harry Kane could finish assists and goals in front, he can't go to City. Please don't let him go to City. But I genuinely rather see him go to Man United just to kind of make it a bit more even. But imagine Harry Kane at Man City. No point turning up next season.
A frightening prospect, isn't it? And I don't know if you saw the interview with Gary Neville, Harry Kane.
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
I really liked him. Like, I've never really, like, as a confidence thing, he just doesn't really strike me as particularly charismatic, nice bloke to go and have a drink with. It's like the first time I was like watching Harry Kane, I thought, oh, you seem like I love.
Yeah, Mus, did you catch any of that interview?
Yeah, I did on the overlap.
Yeah, the overlap on Gary Neville's YouTube channel. Not a bad golfer, is he, either?
Yeah. You could probably give Gareth Bale a run for his money, I imagine. Yeah, no, really candid interview. Obviously, the timing of it is really interesting. I think a lot of the kind of public statements and the briefings from Harry Kane's camp kind of goes to show that I think they think it will be difficult to get Harry Kane out of the club. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been making those statements public. He's not the kind of player that will go on strike and try and force a move. But I think speaking publicly about his desire to move on is one way of putting pressure. But I think it'll be actually quite difficult to make that deal happen. And yeah, I think this is his last chance to get the golden boot before he's on City's bench playing back up to Foden next season.
Dave's in the comments again. He's saying, you know, we're talking about Kane potentially not being at Spurs next season, but what about Salah? Because there's been kind of bumps in the road for him this season, hasn't there?
All of this, I think, from what I'm hearing post-pandemic and in terms of clubs' finances, all the big players that were rumoured to go to, you know, Salah would go to a Real Madrid or something, wouldn't he? He'd go to a Barcelona, a team like that. He wouldn't go to another Premier League club. And what's coming out of post-Super League, post-COVID, is that Barca and Real Madrid are broke. So they couldn't afford Harry Kane and they couldn't afford Mo Salah and they couldn't afford Haaland. Anyway,
okay,
so
how about this? How about this? There's been talk of Ronaldo leaving Juve if they don't qualify for the Champions League. Could you see Salah going to Juve?
Imagine him and Zaha at the if Ronaldo joined Palace, that'd be beautiful, wouldn't it? Like both of them like not passing to each other and throwing out. Little money idol. Salah to Juve, yeah, that would be a fit. Could happen. But
I personally don't think Salah wants to leave Liverpool. I think this is all just to get a new contract at Liverpool. So I don't think he will leave. I think with Harry Kane, I think it's been said that there isn't really a market for him. He's probably worth more to Spurs than his value in the transfer market. So no club will actually pay however much Spurs think he's worth because he's so important for them. But I think Harry Kane shouldn't make the same mistake that, say, Alexis Sanchez made and like go after a club like Man United who will probably offer him more money but not guarantee the trophies that he wants. Just go to City, fulfill your dreams, do a Gareth Bale, return to Spurs later and secure your legacy as like a club legend.
I like it. I like it.
That's the best thing with Dave Ornstein earlier on Sky, where he was saying that actually Levy, being the businessman that he is, will try to drag this out for as long as possible, if only for the fact that you've got the Euros coming up, and the one thing that could shoot Harry Kane's value up again, because everyone at the moment's kind of focusing on his age, the likes of Haaland being cheaper, well, probably the same sort of price, but for a 20-year-old. And also, his injury record and his age, basically. If he finishes with the Golden Boot in the Euros, then it starts becoming a 200 million conversation as opposed to a 100 one, I think.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's get on to the lineups then for Leicester against Spurs. Leicester playing a 3-4-1-2 formation. Schmeichel in goal, Castagna, Fofana and Soyuncu across the back, so no start for Wes Morgan. Mark Albrighton, Yuri Tielemans, Wilfred Ndidi and Luke Thomas, and then James Maddison in the 10 role behind that flourishing partnership of Kelechi Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy. Spurs line up like this: 4-2-3-1. Lloris in goal, Reguilon, Alderweireld, Sanchez and Doherty across the back. Højbjerg and Winks in the holding midfield roles. Son, Ali and Bergwijn behind Harry Kane. Mus, where's this one going?
I think Leicester will win this one. I think Brendan Rodgers will win the tactical battle against the novice 12-year-old Ryan Mason. I think just a word on Leicester, because I think even if they do miss out, it has been a successful season. It's not binary. It's not FA Cup or Champions League. I think they've done the best they could. And one must remember as well that Harvey Barnes, James Justin were having like the seasons of their lives, are probably going to work their way into the England squad, and then got like really horrible long-term injuries, and they've managed without them. But yeah, I think they'll win this one and give themselves a chance. I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester.
2-1 Leicester. And who's your man of the match?
Madison.
Madison.
I'll say James.
Okay. Ros. Leicester,
Yeah, no,
Leicester looking to do the double over Spurs for the first time since 98-99 season. Can they do it again?
It's just such a hard one to call. I think I've changed my mind on it about 5 times today already. Just a quick, what Mus was saying about it being a good season for Leicester. Just looking at that lineup, but even the whole squad, it's in such a good place. You've got not only the likes of Justin, but you've also got Thomas, who's come and kind of filled that role on the left, scored an absolute cracking goal against Man United. But you know, really good young players coming through. Tielemans probably peak years still ahead of him. So if there's talk of Rodgers going to Spurs, I can't see it happening, but he's leaving the club in a really, really good position, arguably a better position than when Ranieri left it, in terms of the squad age and just the all-round quality. Have I talked myself round to a Leicester win? No, I'm going for Spurs. I reckon it'll be Spurs. I reckon it's Harry Kane's last game in a shirt, or at least he'll see it as it could be my last game in a Spurs shirt, until we'll have everything to play for there. And he's got his eye on the golden boot and all. 2-1 Spurs. We'll be tight though.
2-1 Spurs. Okay, let's move on then, shall we, to Manchester City hosting Everton at the Etihad, and spot the lack of sentiment from Pep in this lineup. Ederson in goal, Walker, Stones, Diaz and Zinchenko make up the back four. De Bruyne, Fernandinho and Foden in the middle, up front, Mahrez, Jesus and Sterling. So Aguero not good enough to start on his final, well, what should be his final outing as a City player. Everton, 4-3-1-2. Pico in goal, Digne, Godfrey, Keane and Holgate across the back. Davies, Allen and Decore behind Gylfi Sigurdsson in the 10. And up front, Richarlison and DCL. Mus, is it a bit insensitive of Pep to not play Aguero, or is there no room for sensitivity when it comes to football?
Well, I can only imagine Aguero's not fully fit.
What gives you that
Guardiola.
impression?
Well, Guardiola was saying in an interview on Football Focus yesterday that, I hope Aguero recovers from his niggles in time to be able to play, not his last game with us, but also, for the future. But I'd have thought he'd have gone with a slightly weaker side, given they've got the Champions League final in less than a week. And this game is literally, it means nothing for them. So perhaps he's trying to wrap it up early, and then he can let sentiment take hold and bring on Aguero for the last half hour or something. But yeah, they should win this fairly easily in front of their fans.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it, Ros? You know, De Bruyne starting, Foden starting, Mahrez starting, Diaz starting, and Stones. It's a very strong lineup from City.
It's incredibly strong. I think if you're looking across it, they are the players that have won them the league. Minus perhaps Gundogan on the bench there would be the only inclusion. But they are pretty much, I know Pep likes to rotate, but that's the back four that's probably won them the league. Likewise with all the players in that starting 11. So arguably the sentiment thing, he's going for, he wants those players to be the one that win the game and then lift the trophy, walk out for the last time. But the Aguero thing, it's weird because you always get it in like a testimonial game where the player gets subbed off. That's the moment that you kind of want to give the player. Even if, you get it with older players, they will literally just play the first 5 minutes and get subbed off or whatever. But for a game that literally means nothing, what he's denying Aguero there is that moment of, being subbed off and clapping the phones and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's, unless he subs him on and then subs him off, then that's if anything, a great insult. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that, really, for a player that's done so much for the club.
Yeah. Mus, Dave's in the comments. If Everton don't qualify for any kind of Europe, is that a bad season? Is that a failure for Ancelotti?
I mean, it's been a bit of a weird season, so I think they could probably excuse it that they've had injuries, they've not had the fans in. But yeah, I mean, they perhaps slightly underperformed given the promise of the early season. But I think they should give Ancelotti more time. They're not going to get a better, more experienced manager. And it only takes a couple of players to change the team's fortunes around. But yeah, in terms of sentiment, if you imagine like John Terry being subbed up on the 26th minute and getting that like guard of honor during the game, or even like Lewandowski breaking or equaling the Bundesliga record and then getting that while the game is still on, it really shows you how like cold-hearted and focused Guardiola is.
Yeah, is Fernandinho starting? Is that a sign that maybe he wants to start Rodri next week in the Champions League final?
I think hard to read into it because you'd imagine De Bruyne and Foden start. So yeah, not necessarily. Is Cancelo on the bench? Yeah, he's on the bench. I think it's hard to second guess him, to be honest.
It's also a manager in that Champions League final he's already lost twice to this season. So if you're Pep, do you go for your best? What you would say is Pep's best starting side. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few. I wouldn't be surprised if there are surprises. But when those lineups come out next week, I don't think it will necessarily be a squad as good as that. Just a squad that is tactically built to handle Chelsea.
Perhaps he could play. He might look to play Rodri and Fernandinho in a more sort of, more defensive angle. In the central midfield area. Anyway, let's move on. Did you give me a prediction for that one, Ros? You said heavy Man City win.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question? You're not about me now. Sorry. Oh, God knows. Let's go for 2-3 Everton win.
Yeah.
With the EPL rounding off the season and heading for the Euros.
Yeah, is it? Can you see Aguero coming on and scoring? Get a bit of a Aguero.
In fairness, I don't know what's happened since everyone's kind of decided to write him off because I don't think he looked that bad earlier in the season. The last couple of games he's been absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
What was the goal where he got the assist? And he took a really shit touch. And it kind of fell to, was it Sterling or so? He's not been playing well, bless him.
I mean, it looks like he looks a player that just is lacking match experience and match fitness, match sharpness, doesn't he? Mus, what was your prediction for that one?
3-0 City.
3-0 City. Okay, let's move on then to Sheffield United, Burnley. Couple of talking points in this one. Sheffield United 3-4-3. Ramsdale in goal. Basham, Egan, and Robinson across the back. Baldock, Norwood, Fleck, and Stevens. Then David McGoldrick, Ben Osborne behind the youngster, the boy Daniel Jefferson up front. So that's a good sign for Sheffield United fans, something to hold on to for next season. Burnley line up in a 4-4-1-1. Will Norris in goal. Charlie Taylor, Jimmy Dunn, James Tarkowski and Matt Loughton across the back. McNeil, Cork, Westwood and Goodmanson in the midfield. And Josh Brownhill behind Chris Wood up top.
Am I a bit stupid? Isn't that the first time that Sean Dyche hasn't played 4-4-2?
Well, perhaps it is. I mean, yeah.
He's playing FIFA up top. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Sean Dyche not play a 4-4-2.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ros. It's interesting talking about Dyche because that's the main point I wanted to talk about here is that, Burnley, they're 17th. Yes, the job description at Burnley is keep them up. But what more can Sean Dyche do with Burnley? Does someone else need to go there? Does he need to move on? Is it a success to finish 17th again?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Just because he's been there so long. He's the only manager that's actually... I think there were 2 players that were there before he joined.
Yeah.
Like every other one is either one that he's brought through the youth academy or signed himself. So he's literally handpicked his squad. So that's kind of twofold, isn't it? If he goes to another club, he hasn't got a squad of players that he's picked and knows that well. But then also, if another manager goes into Burnley, there's a very specific Sean Dyche way of playing, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is a way to get big results against big teams. Pretty much nailed on for staying up. Sometimes it looks a bit bit in doubt, but he always finds a way to keep them up. So I can't see another manager going into Burnley and doing as good a job with those players. With Sean Dyche, it's sort of make or break. If he goes up, say he moves to well, he wouldn't move to Everton because they've got Ancelotti, but a club like that, then it's hard to see him doing better and coming across as a better manager than what he's doing in Burnley right now.
Yeah. Mus, Daniel Jefferson, 17 years old. He is the only goal that Sheffield United have scored in the last 3 games came from him. Can you see him scoring again today? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I'd like to think he could do something. I think him and McGoldrick have been pretty much the only two that have really kind of shown up this season, shown anything like their usual form. I mean, I'm going to go with a 1-1. I think this is probably not going to be the most exciting game. Probably last one on match of the day. 1-1, Jefferson and Wood.
See, when we say that, it's usually like a 4-3.
Yeah.
Or 4-0, or it's like usually the most exciting game. So thank you, Mus, because that's the game that I'll be watching now.
Ros, what's your prediction for that game then?
I can see Sheffield United snatching it, actually. One of those kind of, save for the day. It's your last game in the Premier League. Just save for it. So I can, see a 1-0 Sheffield United win.
Okay, right. Let's couple more games to get through then before kick-off in 5 minutes. So we'll rattle through these. West Ham at home to Southampton. West Ham in a 4-2-3-1. Fabianski, Sufal, Dawson, Ogbonna, Cresswell, Souček and Rice behind Bowen, Lingard and Fornals. Mikel Antonio up front. Southampton in a 4-4-2. McCarthy back in goal. Salisu, Vestergaard, Bednarek and Walker-Peters. In the midfield, Minamino, Diallo, captain James Ward-Prowse and Stuart Armstrong up front. Nathan Redmond and Danny Ings. Ros, prediction, thoughts on Southampton's season as well?
I think Southampton are a bit of a Brighton or a bit of a Wolves or a bit of a team like that. They haven't really had that great a season. I know that they were top of the league for about 5 minutes towards the beginning. But really more of a season to forget, I think. Hasenhüttl's still the man for me, same as Graham Potter at Brighton. Would be the same at Wolves. But this is such a nothing game, isn't it? I know West Ham are playing for Europe, but they were playing for Champions League. Bless them. David Moyes could see no reason why they wouldn't qualify. And what's happened, Dave?
What's your prediction then?
Southampton. West Ham's bottle job to continue in a glorious fashion. I'm going to go for a 6-0 Southampton victory.
Mus, quick prediction before we get into our last game.
I think West Ham will do it. I think it'll be a 2-0 West Ham win. Antonio man of the match.
Okay, cool. Right, let's look then at Wolves Man United, the last fixture, just before all these games kick off in a few minutes. Wolves 3-4-1-2 for Nuno's last game in charge. Rui Patricio in goal, Bolly, Cody, Saiss at centre-back, Semedo, Dendonka, Moutinho, Ait-Nouri, and Ruben Neves behind Adama Traore and Fabio Silva. Man United's lineup goes a little bit like this. Dean Henderson in goal, the back four, Tellez, Tuanzebe, Bailly, Williams, Donny van der Beek and Nemanja Matic. And then the attacking three, James, Mata and Diallo behind Anthony Elanga. Ros, tell us what you know about Anthony Elanga.
Can I just check that it's Man City in the Champions League final next week, not Man United? That is like the weakest lineup. Oh no, they've got Europa League, haven't they? That's why. Okay, yeah. No idea, mate. I know a bit about Diallo. I've seen quite a bit of him on YouTube. And he looks like a really, really good player. Very agile. No idea.
Must have got something.
Because he made his debut at Old Trafford, I think, against, God, I forget. Anyway, the game before the Leicester Liverpool games, he played on the wing. He's really good. I think if you look inside the eye of your mind, you might find a better place to play. So don't look back, Elanga. Keep looking forward. But Tush. I know.
Brilliant. Love it, mate. He
I
scored a
think,
couple.
on the
He
bench,
scored...
you've got Shola Thierry.
Yeah.
I think this is like my favourite fact of the podcast that we've done. I'm sure we said it, but he's actually named after Shola Ramiobi.
Yes.
That's Geordie.
And also...
Who gets named after Shola Ramiobi?
also on the bench, couple more youngsters from the under-23s. William Fish and Hannibal Medjbury. I think that's how you say it.
Who is a player in the Zidane mould. You know, it's always great when like players, people like talk about youth academies and stuff, and they always go, "He's the next this. He's the next this.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
the next this." And with Hannibal Membry, who it's one of those names you click on because like it's actually
Yeah.
He's the next Zidane apparently.
Okay, very quickly.
Very
quickly, need predictions. Roz?
Comprehensive Man United. Easy. 3-0.
Must disagreeing by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think Wolves will win this 2-1.
Be a good send-off for Nuno. Okay, guys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure all season, actually, doing these shows. It's great. And we'll have one last show tomorrow night to review all of these games from today. Enjoy the football, lads. What games are you watching? What are you watching, Roz?
Villa, Chelsea, I reckon.
Mus, what are you going to watch?
Switching between that and the Spurs game.
Brilliant. Okay, well, cheers, lads. Thanks for watching, guys. And we will see you tomorrow night for the final review show of the season. See you later, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.